Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Charlie Drives. Today I'm going to talk you through the interior of the car, just leading on from the last video. But I would just like to say, massive thank you to everyone who's watched all of the videos so far. If you haven't seen the previous videos, click on the link up there and I'll link the first collection video of the new Land Rover Defender. But yeah, really overwhelmed by all the nice comments and the number of views on the video. It's just been fantastic. But please do consider subscribing to the channel. I will add more videos on the car as we get to use the car more often and get to know it a little bit better. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching guys, and I hope you enjoy the part 2 of the spec video. Cheers.
And as we start to sort of go and talk about the interior now, so you've got this really nice, I mean, I know it's plastic, but it's done in a really kind of nice, rugged, hard wearing way. And the colour option is incredible. I mean, I think it really kind of works well, and it matches with the white roof really nicely. So I really quite like this. And the interesting thing is, when you're speccing out these cars, you can choose the colour of this particular fascia. On the website, the standard kind of look, and I'm not sure if this is standard. I mean, I think it is standard because we chose and we specified standard. So unless there was a mistake that was made, I actually thought that this would be darker. And in a way, I'm super happy that it's not, and that it actually looks like it is white. And it sort of matches in line with the white roof, which works really well. Now, interestingly, on the classic Defender, you didn't get any of this exposed stuff. So actually this works really quite nicely. Again, a bit of white to match that, as well as the roof works really well. And you've got these kind of functional, and I think, and of course they will be functional screws to obviously take the door card off, and they look really good, really rugged, and they definitely didn't need to go into that much detail. But because it's the Defender, they absolutely did, and I'm glad that they did. You've also got them here as well, lining up, and it just looks great because you're sitting in it. You still got this really great leather. We chose the luxury leather, so it's slightly softer than what you get as standard, but it does look great. And the quality of the materials that they've used in the car, they look fantastic as well. A lot of people were complaining about, and I think this is when the early Discoveries came up, so the Discovery 3 and I think the Discovery 4 had this. A lot of people were complaining about the plastic and the heavy use of plastic that they used in those particular cars. And they've all grown, we've all over time grown to fall in love with these cars, and I believe this will do exactly the same thing. It will age really well.
So, this is the interior of the new Land Rover Defender. This is the HSE. So, what you get is pretty much top spec of everything here. We'll start with the display that you get here. My camera would focus. There we go. So, using this button here on the steering wheel, if you press this button here, you get to go into the options here. So there's a number of different options. It's feel like the user interface here is really super easy. I currently haven't got my phone set up connected to this, but it is really quite nice. And what I like about this bit is you can go through the different options and say, okay, let's change the layout, and I want to go from 2 dials to just 1 dial, which works really well. So you get a nice little map element there. So rather than having the navigation there, you get the navigation there. Not entirely sure what it means or what happens when you have Apple CarPlay hooked up, so we will confirm what happens there. Part of me is expecting the map not to display there, but we will see. Then you've got full map display. So importantly with this display, if I come out of this, yeah, so there you go. So to come out of it, you just go all the way to the top. The nice thing about this view, if you do like having the full map there, I probably wouldn't recommend it because I don't think it'd be very safe to drive with this mode on all the time. But you do have your speed at the top there, as well as how much fuel you've got left, and as well as other things like temperatures and all sorts of other things. So that's that. On the top left there, you've got your what light mode you've got on. So at the moment it was set to auto, which is now back to set to auto. So that's controlled by this indicator stalk here. On here you've essentially got all your rear screen wiper and all this other stuff. Now a really cool feature about this car that I quite like is when you spray the heads up, when you spray the windscreen, you get the water sprays out of the actual windscreen wipers themselves, which is quite cool actually. So the jets are actually sitting inside the windscreen wipers, which is quite nice. So yeah, the steering wheel as well, depending on which mode you're in. So if you are just driving along, you will have all of these buttons here. So you've got your phone button there, but actually when you go into the setting, the phone, when you press this button to go into the actual display settings, you get arrows instead. So it's quite cool. So to sort of go into each one of the options, it works quite nicely. So that's quite cool. This one is your volume control, so it's not immediately obvious that is your volume control. And when I first started driving, I was like trying to adjust the volume, and actually reaching all the way over here is a little bit too far away for the driver. So that probably is very much a volume control for the passenger. Down here we've got USB-C charging point, as well as just a normal standard USB charging point. Then you've also got your 12 volt socket to a nice big storage area underneath there, which you can't actually really see what's under there, but you've got a nice big tray under there, so that's quite good. You got your cup holders here. Now there is normally a, this is what you normally have in place when you don't have the cup holders there, so that works quite well as another little panel, perhaps for your phone and everything like that. Now this is the wireless charging point, so you can put your phone on here and it will wirelessly charge, but you of course need to take any covers off. So if I just put my phone on there at the moment, it will not charge unless I have the covers taken off. The only one little minor piece of criticism I would have about this, and I don't know whether that's a bad thing, is that when your phone is here, you can't really get it out so easily with the armrest folded down. Now, you know, I imagine they probably thought, well, you don't need to be using your phone while you're driving, so that's why that's there. Now, this is the piece de la resistance, the fridge. So Alex really kind of wanted this. It's a tiny little fridge. It's only small. You could probably only fit some very small bottles or cans in there, but it is pretty cool, and you can turn the fridge on by pressing that button there. So having the two, that is proper cold, and then you've got just like a medium cold, I guess. But when you turn it off, it's quite cool. You've got this LED light that goes all the way around the fridge to indicate whether it's on or not, which is quite cool. So yeah, I will let you know maybe on a sort of longer driving video how that fridge goes in terms of its usability and how cold it makes your drinks, etc. So what we've got down here, as I sort of highlighted earlier, the white sort of trim looks really fantastic. Oh look, and there's another charging point. You've got a whole area here to kind of keep stuff, so passenger can keep a bunch of things there. You've got these grab handles, which are part of the actual car, part of the chassis, and a key part of, you know, the stability. So that's quite nice. Oh yeah, another charging point, and there's like all this space as well that you get behind the main screen. This is your this is the knob, as we famously discussed in the last video. So in order to use this, you literally hold, there's a little trigger on the top here, so there's a trigger on the back, and to move, you basically put that into reverse, or you put that into drive, and then over here you put that into sport, and you've got your sort of plus and minus to go up and down gears, which works quite well. As opposed to flappy paddles, which you do not get on the Defender. Also, the steering wheel is pretty large if I compare it to Alex's old Discovery Sport. Another nice thing is because I just put it into reverse mode, it's given me the cameras. So I'll actually show you what it looks like in Tesco's car park, because I used it to try and line up the car in the lines. Not that I need to use it, but it was kind of a nice thing to have. I literally just used this to park up to see how good the cameras were, to help with parking straight and not like an absolute tosser. But anyway, there you go. But the nice thing about this as well is you've got cameras all over the place here. So essentially we've got on-road cameras. I'll just hit this camera. You've also got off-road cameras, so you can choose which mode to be in. So this kind of gives you the sort of right hand side, left hand side, and what's directly in front of you. But then you also got this mode where if I now drive forward ever so slightly, it will show you what's underneath the wheels. See, it shows you what sort of terrain is directly below the wheels, which works really, really well. So that's quite cool. This also talks about this also shows you the diff locks and what diff locks are being currently used. Don't think there's anything to press there. So you've got an off-road camera system, and then you've got your on-road camera system as well. So another nice thing about the infotainment system, and I don't want to go into too much detail about this because there's a whole video on the infotainment system, but you can what you basically have is you've got these tiles that you can set up. So you can say, okay, I want these are the following tiles I want. And actually, if you go all the way to the right here, you've got a little pencil where you can edit that. So you can say, okay, actually I'll take this one off, but I'll add the wade sensing in. So yeah, super intuitive. Land Rover done an excellent job with this infotainment system. It really is fantastic and very, very easy to use. So yeah, I've just edited my tiles, and you know, you can basically choose the order. You can change the order if you want to, but you can just sort of swipe left and right to go through that. But yeah, you've got all of these different apps on the infotainment system too. So you've got accounts, you've got seats. So this is where you can manage all of your seat controls. Now initially, again, this was something that wasn't so obvious. My initial thought was, is this really the only way you can choose whether your seat warmers are on? So you can turn your seat warmers on or your seat coolers, depending on what spec you've got. So that's full power on the cold, making your ass cold, and then you've got all the way hot, which works really well. But actually, so you don't just have to manage your seats through the infotainment system. You've also got the controls down here. Now you see this thing that says push, so you go push, and then that gives you full ability. So if I go to the right, it makes my seat red, which means warm, and then it makes my seat cold if I go to the left there. So yeah, really nice feature and a great example of how to kind of get multitasking use out of these two dial elements, which are basically primarily used for climate control. Here is your adjustment. So this is to make the car go down into arrival mode or access friendly mode. This obviously does what it says on the tin and makes the car go up. On the point of the ride height, as I sort of mentioned in the last video, there is actually a setting hidden away in here. Now actually this is one of the slightly less obvious things about the car, but there's a setting to adjust the ride height automatically, so that when you turn the engine off, the car sort of automatically adjusts its height, so it's easy to get in and out of. Now that hidden feature, and I say it's hidden because it's a little bit hidden away, so what you got to do is you hit this little cog here, so it's a settings icon, and then really my immediate thought is, oh, it's just, you know, to adjust the brightness of the screen and maybe the home layout and everything like that. But actually, if you click all, this is where you can see a number of other things. So this is where you can manage your profile, so you can change, you know, the profiles. So we haven't actually done that yet, but if you go into here, you can basically set up default options for individual sort of users of the car, which is pretty cool. Just get back to that. But this is where the adjustment is. So you go to vehicle, you go to convenience, and then you go to vehicle access, and this for some reason is turned off by default. I don't know why. There's actually a number of features that seem to be turned off by default, which is a bit of an interesting one. And I think, you know, due to coronavirus and all sorts of other things, normally I think there would be a much sort of more in-depth handover of the car when you get it, so you'd kind of know where all of these features are. So a bunch of comments came through telling me where this was, so thanks a lot, guys, for telling me that one. But just to go through the rest of this menu while we're here, so you've got a number of other things here. So you've got convenience, you've got a number of other things here. So these are actually also turned off by default. So the windows, the global close with the key, as well as the global open with the key. So if you hold down the lock button, that will close all the windows, and if you hold down the unlock button, that will open all of the windows. So yeah, again, those were turned off as well by default, which I thought was a bit interesting and weird. You've got your mirrors, so mirror dip on reverse, dip mirrors when in reverse, so you can turn those on and off. Currently those are that's not turned on. Vehicle access is what we talked about earlier. Wipers, so you've got rain sensing wipers on. Winter wiper park, that's to stop the wipers from getting covered in snow and not able to sort of come back up again. Brake hold, so when you're on a hill, the car will automatically hold a still position for you, which is quite nice. But yeah, so those are those settings there. Just going to go back. So those are the convenience bits. You've got a number of other things as well. You've got exterior lights, you've got adaptive driving beam. I believe this is the matrix LED option. Again, this was turned off by default, so it does seem like a bunch of goodies are turned off by default, and you know, if you're not technologically obliged, you may never ever find any of these options. So it's a bit of a key feature to make sure you go through this particular menu itself. You've got a number of other options here, so driving on the left, driving on the right. So this is very useful if you were to go to Europe. You can switch your lights so that you are driving on the other side of the road, which is quite nice. So yeah, really quite cool. A few other features, cabin lighting options, so you either turn it on, you can change the colours of the cabin lighting, flick through the different options. So that's purple, red, orange. That's quite nice if you've got a bit of a LED addiction like I have. Right, so yeah, then you can change things like units, so units of measurement, miles per hour, speed, kilometers per hour. Change other things like tire pressure, measurement units, all sorts of other things. So yeah, quite cool. So yeah, that is generally it. I think don't think there's anything else of note to kind of discuss with regards to this menu, but hopefully that's useful. You got your hill descent button there, your start stop mode on there, so basically turning that off will mean the engine will not turn off when you come to a stop. Stability management, and then you've got your low ratio gears there. All of this is climate control. Don't really need to go into too much detail with the climate control. So yes, however, interestingly, that's another use of these dials here, as you can see. So if I just come out of that, so this is a bit weird because you've got all your climate control stuff, but then right in the middle here you've got a button to control what driving mode you're going to be in. So you can choose, and by switching this dial, using this dial to turn, you can choose which mode to be in. So you can be in eco mode, comfort mode, or you can go into various off-road settings, which is quite interesting. So that gives you that, and then you've got your Wade program setting set up as well. And as I've done that, you get a heads-up display information on this, and I can feel the car is also adjusting its height as we speak. So yeah, pretty cool that it's doing that, and you can control that from there. So I'll just go back into that and put it back onto Eco. And there we go, eco mode is back, and we are going back into normal drive height, as I can see and feel by the car going down. Up here you've got your hazards. Initially I didn't think to look up there for hazards, and it's a very sort of kind of like when you see it now, it's obvious, but when we first got in the car, we didn't know where the hazards button was. But yeah, there's the hazard lights. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that I can talk you through in the front here. I mean, obviously we've got a number of other things here. We've got the sort of cruise control, controls and sort of adjustable cruise control, that type of thing. Heated steering wheel. Got this another knob here to adjust the steering column. You've got your parking brake down there. Yeah, so generally it is a very nice place to be, and as I've said many times, it's a big cabin in here. It's a really big cabin. You are surrounded by very, very high quality sort of materials. There's not an awful lot of cheap feeling plastic everywhere, so that's quite nice. This is quite nicely textured as well. Up here is pretty much all standard. This is all kind of pretty much taken out of most of the JLR cars right now. So this was exactly the same panel that was in Alex's 2015 Discovery Sport, so they haven't done an awful lot there. We've got the panoramic roof, which is controlled by this button here. So actually no, that's this cover which controls that. And then you've got your panoramic roof, which is done by using this button here, and that just opens to halfway. A bit brave doing this today because look at the sky. It has been bucketing it down, but anyway, so I'll close that. So that's quite a nice little thing to have on this car. Definitely really quite like the panoramic roof. It makes a big difference to the cabin. But yeah, generally really nice place to be. To talk you through the back, so in this we've got privacy glass in the back seats as well as in that one there. So you've got your privacy glass here. You've got sort of nice touch sensitive lighting up here. Obviously I've left the door open, so that's obviously staying on. But yeah, really nice place to be as a passenger. Legroom is really quite nice actually. You can really get your legs nicely under there, so that works well. I'll just show you a shot from the side. And yeah, so you've got a number of different things here. I mean, it's all pretty basic back here. We didn't get the heated seats. There was a little mistake from the factory. The car was supposed to have heated seats, but it sadly did not have heated seats added in the back. So that was kind of annoying, but it happens from time to time, I guess. Another cool feature for the passengers is you've got, I don't know what that is for actually. I will have to look it up, but very nice. Another good feature, each seat here has got a USB, so keeps the kids happy. But yeah, and then you've got a sort of little bit there, bit of a cup holder down here actually, which is quite nice, so that would fit a can or a bottle. That is a light which warns the passengers in the back if there are any cars coming or cyclists are coming. So if there's something coming along, this will light up and it will show you that it will be dangerous to open the door. And as you can see there is a light displaying as I've opened it. So yeah, it's quite nice back here. Again, you've got the exposed paint here, and you've got the screws, and you've got your climate controls here, which probably won't work until the engine is turned on. But again, more USB ports. So you get, the passengers in the back here get 4 USB ports and 2 normal 12-volt chargers. So yeah, what more can you ask for really, to be honest? And then down here you got your cup holders, pretty standard. But yeah, it's all very good. Also, you just get a bit of an idea of what those windows in the roof look like from the inside, which look pretty cool. But yeah, that combined with the panoramic roof really does fill the cabin with lots of light, even though you know we've got the privacy glass here and it is a really miserable day. But yeah, it gives you an idea of kind of how that works and how it looks. Let's go into the boot. Yeah, this is the space that you've got here. As I mentioned earlier, you've got the adjustable right at the rear, so you can obviously lower that to get the car to lower down, so it's easier to put stuff in. This one didn't have the domestic socket, which is a bit of a shame. I think that would have been really useful. For some reason the domestic socket is only something that comes as standard for the first edition. Another thing that I feel would be really quite a useful feature to have, and this was something that existed in the Discovery Sport, is a button to automatically lower the seats in front. So if you're back here and you want to try and get some long stuff in there, you do have to go around to the rear doors to open and close those. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain for that. But yeah, generally that you've got that. And then yeah, another weird thing is we've got a climate control back here. So I think that might be sort of the 3-zone climate control, which comes as standard as part of this. But yeah, this is the back here, which is quite interesting. This is quite useful. Again, like, I don't know if you've got bottles of wine or something like that, it's quite useful to carry. But yeah, and then underneath here, you've got quite a large space down there. So that's quite an interesting sort of gap. And then you've got all of your kind of jack and all the sort of standard bits and pieces which come with the car. That looks like a parcel shelf of some description. I'm not even entirely sure what that is, but anyway. And then you've got your traffic, you've got your triangle there, and you've got again another little sort of cubby hole of space, which is quite good. And of course you do have another 12-volt socket, which is quite interesting and useful. And here you've got some hooks, I believe, so that's quite good on either side. But yeah, generally it's a very, very spacious and large boot. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's given you a bit more insight into what the new Defender is like to live with, especially from an interior standpoint. I'd love to know your comments. Hopefully you're enjoying these videos. There'll be plenty of videos still to come on this car as we sort of become adjusted to living with it and enjoying it every day. But thanks a lot for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you've liked it, and please subscribe to the channel. It makes a massive difference, and we'll see you for the next one. Take care, bye.